Oh, it looks like it's there now. It doesn't say going anymore. Trying to refresh my YouTube thing. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't show it like it. Yeah, it says end stream too, so it shows. Might have been a little bit late, but just checking that my mic's going. Yeah, so I can see my mic over there too, that it's actually getting referenced and everything as well on the screen. Hey, we're figuring this out with everyone as we go, right? This is what you gotta do. It's part of the fun of it. So we're gonna start making some of these bolts. Again, our first live, don't know how many people are gonna view in on it, so we're just gonna get some stuff running here. We got just reference really quick what we got going in the machine and what we're going to be doing. So we got like these little bolts come off of the lathe here on this machine. And then I just got some letters that I'm putting on the face of them right now. But later I'm going to be refacing them and putting on a logo for a friend. I'm making these bolts for him and like this little enclosure box that he's doing for something. And he kind of wants his company logo on them. So right now I got some machine in the part, or got some stock in the machine. Ready to go. Got a nice little length in there, sticking out the end. 5C collet set up, make it nice and efficient. I already got this one locked in, so this one's actually ready to run. I already got it stuck out to the right distance, so we're good to go right for this first one getting cut. And as I get one cut, we got a few made. I'll go over through some of the conversational pages and what we got going on and kind of how we put this part and program together. And then again, we'll be taking them over to the mill, be over on the other side here, getting some stuff engraved on them. So right, that first one, it just faced off the little front of the part here. That was all that tool was doing. I'm going to go in and add in this next tool. And this tool is going to be doing the majority of the work on the part. It's going to be doing like the profile, kind of cutting the OD diameter, doing this little undercut, chamfering both sides, or it's going to be chamfering the front side of the hex, and then the part off tool actually chamfers that back side when it does it. And the reason it's making a little bit of noise at the start of the cut, it is hex stock, so it's an interrupted cut as it starts to make the cut, and you'll hear it as it gets in a little bit farther. It'll start to get less noisy, actually. And we are running it a little bit conservative. We can always try to push the machine a little bit harder later if we want to and everything, but right now we're trying to manage tool wear so we're not having to change out our insert too often and everything like that, and can kind of just keep it running and flowing nice to be able to go right over into the other machine. We're going to try to get like 10 or so made here before we start going over and engraving them over there. So maybe on the next one, I can even try to increase the feed rates on a little bit, kind of show that. Can probably run this tool without coolant on one of them and kind of show people what this tool is doing a little bit more as well. Kind of show people how it gets set up. So, and then if you can see in the simulation over here, we actually got, it's showing what the tool is doing. So it's about to go in there and do that undercut. I have to zoom in on it a little bit. And if you zoom in far, you can really see exactly the tool path that the tool is going to be taking. So now the threader tool comes in after that profiling tool. And we're just doing a 1/2-13 thread. It's a standard thread. It's used a lot with a lot of fixturing and stuff in manufacturing. A pretty standard thread. The one thing kind of not standard about these bolts and why I'm making them custom for a friend is he actually wanted a smaller hex than you can kind of find in the standard store that you would like normally buy off the shelf. So I was able to give him like that smaller hex and yeah, get him the kind of custom dimensions that he wanted for his screw. And right now, yeah, it's doing the threading of it. All right, so after that threading tool is done, it's going to be the part off tool, which is going to come in. It's going to add a little chamfer before it actually comes in and gets the tool off of the stock there. So I just set it over here. And as I'm changing out the tools, you'll see over here on the screen, as I get past the optional stop, it'll tell me which tool that I'm going to put in. So it'll give you a nice warning over here and make you hit that button. You can turn it off if you wanted to, but it gives you the warning if you're actually having tool changes. So you'll know which tool to put in before it starts going. And again, this one's starting to be noisy at the start of the cut because as it's doing that interrupted cut, it's kind of just hitting against that hex stock a few different times until it actually gets in there and it's taking a fully engaged cut. Where like right there, it's a lot more quieter as it's coming in and actually getting the part off. And I don't have a bin or anything to catch them right now. They've normally been falling right on my thing, but at least as long as I've normally been getting them to fall right on here, but this one just fell kind of right over there. But so that's how they're coming off. And that little nub that's on there, if you have a certain type of lead-in angle on your part off tool, you could get that off right over on the machine here. I just have a straight one. So the idea is like as it's kind of getting in there, it's just pushing it off. So you'll get that little nub. But we'll be taking that nub off over on the mill when we go to add the engraving onto the top of them. So as I go to load the next part, kind of just getting some chips out of the way here. This is how you're going to be unlocking the collet and be moving it forward to put in the next part. Just kind of untwist that way. And then it's going to loosen it up and you'll be able to pull this out. And I already got a stop set to the length that I need it to be to go make the next one. So I'm just bumping it up like that. It's got a nice little round, like little V to be able to get that round in there and kind of get that same repeatability every time. And then you're tightening the stock. As long as you just get it tightened by hand, shouldn't really be moving too much. Kind of still got that same distance there. And then because I am rough and steel, I am going to give it a nice little snug tightness there. And now that next part's good to go. And what's nice is how it's kind of programmed and how it starts off. That tool that ends that last part is actually the first tool of the program. So we don't really have to change the tool for going right into the next part. It's kind of just good to go. So we can go right into that next part. It's going to come right to the front of the part. And now we just start repeating that cycle. And then we got a few made here already. Like I said, maybe get to like 6 or 7. Don't necessarily have to do 10, but maybe even get to 5. We'll go start over. And as the machine's running the engraving on some cycles, we can maybe get some more bolts going. And that's kind of like the workflow process of the idea of having multiple machines. You get the one spindle running, you get the other part loading in the machine that's kind of open. And then once that machine's running, you can go back and load the other machine that you had open now. So again, that was just facing. So I'm changing my tool, going back to the profiling tool. And so this profiling tool on our offset pages, you'll be able to see here. Actually, I'm going to do that at the start of the program, so I'm not resetting my program at the moment. I'm going to finish this part. But then at the end of this part, I'm going to go over through some of the offset pages and show kind of how these tools are set up and referenced in that offset page. And you can start a program in the middle of the program. If I needed to reset it and start it right at that tool, I would have been able to do so, and I can show that as well. But just for right now, I'm just going to keep it nice and simple and just go into those offset pages after this part gets done running. And like I said, even though some bolts you could probably buy, some bolts for not that cheap off the shelf, but to be able to get like a custom hex size and be able to get custom lengths to what you want, a lot of times the store might not have them. You have to wait for them, everything like that. So when you have your own, I could make custom pitches. You can make proprietary threads that if you wanted it to be for an assembly that somebody wouldn't be able to just go find your standard type of bolt off the shelf, you can get really customizable to them. And then even though we're going to be putting only letters, we're going to be showing like the conversational over on the mill and how we can change the letter, put a different letter on it. You'll also be able to load a DXF file and put like a logo on it, which I plan to be doing as well later for the friend. I just don't want to be showing his logo right now. A little bit. Had to turn my headset back on because I have the auto timeout. So yeah, and then pretty much after I get this part off, as the profile cycle is running on the next part, we'll go over, because the profile cycle takes a little bit longer, that'll be a good time to go over to the mill and get something ran over there. So I'm going to just grab my threading tool here. Give me 1 second. Put this one in there. And right now I have the gate open so I could just push these chips down into the collection if I needed to. They do offer like a gate where you can kind of collect stuff here and not have everything go down in there if you needed to catch your parts and not have them fall down in there. Because potentially right now with how it gets parted off, I could have my part drop down in there, which if I needed to, then I would just have to pull it out of this bin. So we'll get this one parted off, and then we'll go into some of those offset pages. And again, loud because of that interrupted cut. But then as it comes in, and that's what it does, the chamfer right there. So it does the one cut, does the chamfer on it, and then it comes in and does like the straight all the way through to get the part off. Then we'll grab that one out. We're just going to move our stock and get the next part kind of prepped. Get my stop out. And a lot of times, you're normally trying to get this as rigid as you can and have the minimal amount sticking out, but you also don't want to trap yourself into a corner to where you don't leave anything there for yourself to grab to get the next part out. You can always put a small piece of material in the back and kind of push it out, but a lot of times I try to leave enough material there that I'm able to grab onto to at least pull it out for the next part. And then we're just going to run this tool, and then after this tool runs, we're going to go over onto the mill and do some of the engraving on them. So again, just going to start this next tool, and then we're going to take some of these over to the mill. So now I got just a couple of them. How I got my setup over here is, so this is the Saunders fixture plate, or Saunders fixture plate that we sell with our machines. We actually have a different size for the 1100, 770, and 440. These are actually have 13 threads in the plate. So the thread that we just made over there, we're actually able to screw right into this plate. And I actually just got a little wrench here for just getting a nice little snug tight. I don't need it that tight for what I'm doing. And then right now I have it as 2 individual programs. So if I needed to make quick modifications to them, I could. But so we'll just run the 2 different ones. The first program is just going to come down and put a nice little pocket face and the clean face onto the top of the bolt. And we're running without cooling over here too, so you'll have a nice little visual, a better visual of what's going on. I can clean out the window here right after this part's done. And quite honestly, over here we can actually do this. Go put some safety glasses on just because I'm opening that, but right now it's just telling me that it's making sure, it's giving me a warning on the simulation, actually that I want to have a plunge tool, so that's why it had a little pause there. So now that tool is going to come down. And now all that tool is doing is just giving us a nice little clean face for that engraver to come in. So now we're just going to load our little engraver program. And you'll be able to see here on the simulation what we're actually going to be engraving. Right now it's just the letter T for Tormach, but we're going to be showing on the next part. We'll go change this letter and put on a different letter on the next part. But that's going to be what the little tool is going to be doing and engraving right onto the face of that part. So if everything goes well, you should see that T in just a few seconds here. Going to load my engraving program. And I just want to, I sometimes shut these just for changing tools and everything, just as a safety thing. But in this tool, the next tool I have running a little bit slow just because for the surface finish on it, this tool would actually prefer coolant too, but for what we're doing right now for visual purposes, it should be completely fine running without coolant. Yeah, I'll go over right in a second here. I'm going to go back over there and I'll give you the speeds and feeds that I'm doing. This hex stock, it isn't 303, so it's not exact numbers for 303, but it should still be good general numbers for parting off 303 or similar steels to it. So give me one. I'm walking over the lathe right now, and when that tool comes up right after the threader over here. So after the threader runs, I'll go and show the what I got for my numbers on that part off tool. And again, after this part gets done, I can go through some of those offset pages and show some of the conversational and kind of what I got for speeds and feeds on this program, everything like that as well. And yeah, part off tools are definitely like generally one of the more difficult tools to work with when you're on the lathe and everything. So I totally understand that. And a lot of times they can be scary where they have that, they have some loud noises like right at the start, but sometimes you got to just let that noise pass. And once the tool will make some noise until it actually gets engaged into the cut, and kind of that's where those tools actually like to be, is really engaged in the cut. So that's where our part off is coming in here now. And we'll actually just let it run, because then I'll be able to go to the conversational page and just show you all those numbers and exactly how it actually got programmed and stuff like that. So give me a second. We'll just let this run. Because this is the part off tool right now. That's what this feature is doing that the guy was referencing. See where that one got dropped at. Oh, lost that one. Oh, here it goes. Got that one. So yeah, we're going to go over on our conversational page and kind of show that part off and show what we had going on with it. So right here, this is my program. I got a screw, no knurl. That's just what I have it named, but we're going to go over the conversational edit. And so I use that tool twice, but for the actual part off of it, we're going to go open that page up. And this is the actual program that is written for what's in the machine right now. We got the 300 surface finish, 300 SFM for the SFM, and then we got 1500 RPMs, and it's a pretty light chip load. I'm only doing like a 1 thou like chip load, like a 1 thou per revolution chip load, so it's a fairly light depth of cut for that. And then I got no peck on it. The only reason that it kind of has that peck is we have this 50 thousandths chamfer brake, where that mic just cut out, had to turn it back on. So yeah, that chamfer brake is actually going to be on this back side here. It's putting this little chamfer right there before it comes in and does the part off, and that's what we're selecting over here on that in that window. So yeah, I'm going to be trying to. I think on our forums post, we're going to be like on our forums, we're going to be putting the programs and the speeds and feeds, and going to be trying to kind of get this information compiled for people to use as well. So that should be accessible later. Right now, we're just going to get another part out. And now we're going to see if I actually gave myself enough room to be able to grab one and pull it out, or if I'm going to need to push it in. Okay, I was able to still kind of push in from the back there. It might be hard to pull out on the next one, though. But you can always grab a wrench, or like I said, get a little pusher rod to go in the back here and just kind of use that to push your material. Sometimes is a good method. And even though we're working with hex stock right now, kind of, yeah, like a more standard, you can have diameters, hexes, they have square collets and stuff like that. So kind of in the different ways of holding on to some different geometry materials. The hex stock works really nice because essentially we have our feature built right in for using the wrench to give it like a locking, surface or whatever. So that's why we're just going with the hex stock to actually make these. So get this locked in. Sorry, I just lost my lock there for a second. Just double check that. Give it nice and snug. Now this next one should be good to go. Oh, I was still in my conversational edit page, so I just got to get out of that. Just reset it out. And again, once I start running the profile pass on the next part, I feel like as that profile is running, it gives me a little bit more time to walk over to the mill and do something with that. And then for reference on the speeds and feeds for the part off, when I'm doing the face there, I'm actually running the feed, the chip load like 3 times as fast as when I'm doing the part off. So when it's kind of in the front and it's not getting trapped between material and not parting the machine, like the tool, or not parting the material off all the way, I am running it at a little bit of a faster feed rate, even though that is the same tool. A lot of times too, you just want to make sure you're checking your inserts or whatever, that they're not, in totally beat up condition before you go run them on the next part. Just missed that button. Oh, had coolant on my finger, so it was just the touch screen was just messing with the coolant on my finger a little bit there. Offset. Get my wrench. Yeah, and on that next part, as I'm running the profile tool, I'll be able to run the profile tool without any coolant. Where again, it's not ideal. It probably wouldn't want to be ran like that in a heavy production run, but for visual purposes, I should be able to run it for a couple or at least a one without coolant and have no like issues or whatever. And again, the profile tool that's running right now, I could probably push it a little bit harder, but I'm also just trying to conserve my tool wear for kind of keeping things going. I have no real reason to speed it up a lot right now. And you will, if you push the 8L too hard, you will torque it out to where you can definitely push that machine too hard. So I prefer running it at a more conservative type of feed rate. So I'm just adding in another bolt here, and I'm going to go put a different letter. We can show the really quick the letter that I just got on one. I don't know how well this camera is going to really view in for higher details. We're going to try to get a better camera in the future for getting some really fine details on closer parts, but right now it's just that simple little T that we got on there. And again, maybe we can get some photos posted like on the forum showing that kind of detail and level that we got going on later, if it doesn't show up as well on the camera right now. So we're just going to run that program again. That's going to give us just that clean little face on the top of it. It runs really fast. We just have to do the tool change. Again, this is just going, taking off that nub and putting a little circle face, giving us a nice little clean face to do some engraving on it. So now for that engraving file, I'm going to go change that letter C to, we'll just put in a letter C. And go see what that looks like as we go put on the part. So I got everything. The idea is, if you see here how I got it kind of set up, is we're on X center. So my 0 on the thing in the part, and I'll actually show how I got this in a moment, like how I actually like reference my 0, but I essentially just got this pocket, that like how all these holes have a pocket, like a center to them. The center of this bolt is essentially my XY0 for what I'm running in this program. So over on the conversational page here, I have my X base is as 0, which would be the center of it. And because the height of my letter is 300 thousandths of an inch, I put my Y base actually as negative 0.15 for showing essentially where it's going to put it in the middle of the part. Then that's kind of how I get it into the middle. Where if I would have had multiple letters and more than one letter, I'd be wanting probably an X base that's going to offset it. That's going to put all of the letters into the center. But because I'm working with one letter, that's why I'm using the X base of 0. So now we got all the same stuff over here, just our tool number, high spindle speed rate, really low feed rate for just that engraving. And again, not the most perfect tool for what it's actually doing, but it still gets the job done. So we're going to post that out. We're just going to replace it right now because we're just overwriting the other letter, and we can come in here and change that letter to whatever we want essentially. So this should put that letter C now into the center of that pocket. We shouldn't have to change anything with our offsets. It should make it right at the depths of the last one. And again, it's going to do its tool change. And we'll see how this one goes. And because it's a different letter, it might over travel a little bit far, but we'll see, and we can always make an adjustment. So I'll show if this doesn't make the ideal type of shape or image that we want, we'll go show how we can make adjustments right at conversational and just rerun that facing program a little bit, drop it down a little bit, and then essentially rerun the engraver and not have to like scrap this part just because of a mistake. And again, I'm purposely running this really slow just so it's not beating up the tool and getting like a bad surface finish. But it is just doing a small little letter, so it's not taking that long to actually run or anything. So we're going to go see, and yep, looked like it perfectly placed it right in the center like it should. So now, again, where I don't know how well the image is going to show up in relation to the simulation, but we'll see if we can zoom in on that C and then see if we can get any details on the one that we put on the part as well. Let's see if I can get it in the right area. Yeah, if I get the right glare on it, it kind of shows up. But yeah, just showing that as long as your stuff is positioned right and you kind of build out that conversational correctly, I could essentially change that to any letter that I want now, or even a DXF file, as long as I knew the height of my DXF file and stuff like that, and kind of perfectly center anything in there. And then with how I got this plate set up, the idea would be, because these actually, I'll be able to do that. Let me go reference here that quick. And I forgot the exact increment off the top of my head, so I'm going to go grab my caliper just to verify what the increment is. But give me a second here, and I'm going to go load a bolt into each of them here, into these two offsets, and just go show how I can just, where I would essentially be able to, if I wanted to, go run all my bolts, go put like 20 of them in this machine, and then just run it at multiple offsets, and it would get all of them done for me. So I'm just going to go throw 2 in there right now. And I'm just going to grab my calipers. Give me 1 second here. I'm pretty sure the nominal spaced, but again, I just want to verify. Let's see. Looks like 1 1/4. So what I'm going to do is I'm still just going to, I'm going to rerun that first program. And even though I don't have multiple offsets right now set up, I will show that in a moment here. So we're going to go rerun. I guess I don't need to close the door for this one. And that one runs nice and fast. And if I want to, now what I could actually just go right to my offset page. And because I'm going to go over my work offset and double check where I think we were working with G58. I just wanted to verify. So yeah, we're on G58. So if I go to my work offset here and I go to G58, and I got my backups written here at G59 if I need them, if I accidentally mess up something and type in a like fat finger something and erase it. But so what I'm going to actually do right now is I'm just going to go minus 1.250, which is kind of how incrementally far the pockets are apart from each other. And that's my y-axis. So I'm going to do that. And I'm just going to rerun that exact program that I just did. And it should go face the other screw and the other one than what we just did. And so the idea is I could even write I could do it multiple ways. I could have a program that incrementally just goes and changes my Y offset by that 1 1/4 inch and just have multiple in there. I could go into my offset page and have, a program that does one at G54, at G55, at G56 and 57 and so on. And I would just have those increments built in on my offset page, where all that I really needed to do was find the 0 of the one hole. And I essentially found the 0 of all the holes on the fixture plate if I wanted to use them for multiple offsets into the future. And I would just have to incrementally move over that distance from them. And then actually, so I'll engrave the parts in there, but after I engrave the parts in there, I will go show how I found my 0 with it. And really, you wouldn't even need to, if you wanted to just kind of keep them saved where they are right now, you could still pull them out where they are, keep it as a clean face, and just go reload them as you wanted to engrave them later. And I just want to go throw something in there to show actually how I found my 0 and my center on that. If I can find my piece of material. Here we go. So I actually just got this threaded rod that it's the same thing. It's a half 13, and this isn't, fully honest, this is not a super high accuracy way to find the center of this hole. Like if I really wanted to find the dead center of the hole, I would go indicate in or probe the center of this hole and find something more true to get to it. But for what I'm doing for the references, they just get to the center of the hole. I actually just put in that rod, and then what I would use, I actually just used the Heimer then to kind of come in and find the center of that rod, and that's what I used to set my X and Y 0 for this current type of setup. And I could have done it on the pocket and the hole and everything like that. There's multiple ways of doing it. That's just how I chose to do it at the time. And then for reference, I'm actually, referencing my Z height off of the plate. And then I can raise that up to any type of thickness where I want that face to be. And then I can go show right now where, like a part that we already have engraved, I can go make a Z offset change where once we make a Z offset change, it'll come in, just peck out the engraving that's already there and give us a new clean face to add a different engraving if we want it. So that one has a T on it right now. We're going to go over to our offset page and G58. I'm going to go minus 10,000 and our G58.0 offset. Then we're going to go rerun the one that actually faces the top of that part. So now this one should just go a little bit deeper than it previously was. So we just took out the T on that one, and now we're going to go run that other engraving program and put the C on it now. And this is what I plan to do in the end for these bolts that I'm making for my friend. So even though I'm putting some letters on them right now, the idea is I can just go do this and I can set my Z offset and kind of reface them all later and put his logo on it and just set up the whole plate to kind of just run without me having to attend it. So now I got the C on there. And those, so what we got for our offset page and our conversationals here, we'll go kind of look at the two different programs and actually like how I kind of just built them. So this is going to be the one that we're doing for like facing the top of the pocket. It's very, very, very simple of how I got it built. You just got it for pocketing. It will require you to put in like a XYZ, like a XY center of your pocket. So then that's what that page is. I'm just putting in that I'm using XY at 0 for my current program. The step over is going to be if I wanted to say say I had like a 2-inch diameter screw in there and I wanted to use that same tool to kind of step over and remove more of a face. I'd be able to choose the amount that it actually steps over right here. And I'm kind of cheating with what I actually do here. I tell it it's a 500 pocket diameter, and I'm actually using a 1/2-inch diameter tool. So the tool is actually not pocketing at all. It's kind of just coming down and drilling on the top of the face of the material right on center and giving me like a little 1/2-inch pocket right at the center of the part. So that's just kind of currently how I decided to build out this program right now to get the desired results into like the feature that I wanted to put onto the top of it. So that one's fairly simple. And then actually, let me just go back to feed and speed there. So so I'm running that 5,000 RPM, just a feed rate of 10, kind of simple. It's not really removing much material. It's a really rigid tool. You would not normally be like drilling with an end mill like that, but for just removing a small amount of tool at the face of a part, they actually perform pretty well for that. And then over on our conversational, again, for the engraving, we're going to just cancel out of this. We kind of looked at that a little bit, but we're going to go more in depth on that actual page here. So for our engraving, go over to conversational edit. And then here again, where we're selecting our letter and text here. So we can, we can go play around with different text, go see, maybe try a little more bold, something normal or whatever like that. If we needed to, right now is where you can see the X base I got set to center. You could have it set to left or right, multiple different things. And then it's going to be based on your offset here to where it's actually going to position it. Right here, my Z start, I actually meant for that to be 0. But in there. Yeah, so I only had it at -1 at a depth of cut of 2, so it was only going 3,000 deep instead of the 2 that I was telling it to, so it was only a difference of 1,000, so that wasn't making much of a difference. But again, you're actually able to set that here where if it's pretty much for engraving, it's using a single depth of cut. If you need it to go more, you'd be able to kind of just rerun it at a lower depth of cut and maybe have multiple programs that just run it at those multiple depths. If we had, I don't have a DXF file, maybe we'll get into some more DXF files and some advanced kind of toolpaths later, but you would be able to, we'll cancel out of this and go show the DXF part of it. So if you want to hear, same thing, if you had a file, you'd be able to put an image in here of a DXF file. They're kind of like line files and everything like that. If you're using those, you're able to set those kind of in the same way that you're doing your engraving, or you could also like profile them with a normal end mill. Say you wanted to like cut out a shape based on a DXF file. So right now we'll just go throw in a different letter here using some different fonts and everything like that. Go play around with that for a second. So we're going to go edit this. We'll see if we can get, I just know that we don't got much surface area to play with right now, and the type of tool that I have, we could get a different tool that would be able to get much finer details. But I'll try to just maybe put like 2 different letters next to each other and see for positioning purposes where it puts it. And then we can maybe make an adjustment, reface it, stuff like that, and see if go from there. So we'll leave all those numbers at the same right now. Just throw that in there. Now we're going to go, I'll go put a new one in there and face it. Let me grab one of my other ones. I think I had a few here. Oh, these ones all been faced already, but I got a few clean facing surfaces here. But the thing is right now, I could have remembered how where I ran them at the Z depths. Some of these might have got ran at different Z depths. So I would want to run the facing first to make sure that my engraving is related to the facing depth. Because if I just go to run the engraving right now, and for some reason my engraving was set to a lower depth and I didn't know what offset I was at, it might come and go a little bit too deep. So I'll be able to just rerun these. I'm pretty sure because I just dropped my Z offset that I'll be able to load this and it should just reface it and I'll be good to put in a new engraving surface on it. And right now I just know that my Y offset is still set to this front hole, so I'm just putting them in there. I could set it back to the other one I wanted. I could move it over here if I want it. So right now we're going to run that facing program again just to get rid of the letter that we got on there. That's like I said, I was pretty sure that one was going to clean up. So now we should be able to go right over back to our engraving program and run that. Because now that we know that facing ran and we know that our engraver is kind of set to that same offset as that previous tool, as long as we know that previous tool went first and it cleaned up some material, that our engraver should be good to go. And again, we got some different letters here now. So if it offsets and puts it in a different spot, we'll be able to look at it and then make adjustments if we need to. Yeah, and I can already kind of tell that that's kind of offsetting too far to the left. So we'll still let this run. It's not going to hurt anything. So just let this tool run. It might have some little lines on the outside there where it's not cleaning up the surface. So if we needed to, we could clean off the entire face of this bolt later. But we'll just let this run and see kind of how it looks before we make any adjustments. And that's what I was saying before. When I was dealing with a single letter, it was just putting that right on center. But because we're dealing with multiple letters now, I would have to put in a X type of offset to get that kind of placed in the right position. And I'll actually go show how you can kind of look at simulation and position your tool prior to the cut. That would have actually kind of been, I would have been able to kind of verify this visually just in simulation before I would have went and ran it on the part if I wanted to. And it might just be that the letters together are too big and they're just too wide to where I'd have to shrink them, where the center position might be correct actually for what I did, and I might just have to shrink the letters to be able to get them to fit within the diameter now because it's two of them and them being too large. Making sure my tool didn't get wear on it. And so, yeah, it actually looks like the position was good for we got it for the X, but we're just going to have to make them smaller and maybe drop that tool a little bit so it cleans up all the way with it. So let's go look at changing that right now. So we're going to go back to our engraving page. We're going to go to edit. So we're going to change these to, we'll go to like 0.2. But then now we're also going to have to change this to minus 0.1 to still place it in the center. And that's going to make them smaller. We'll go see if it makes them small enough. So I'm not just going to rerun this program yet. I'm going to save that, get my adjustment saved there. And now I'm going to go back over to my offset page. And I'm going to go drop that work offset by just like another, we'll just go like 8,000. So now we're just going to do that facing program again. And now it should go in there and just kind of clean off. The lines that went over into the outside of that pocket are still going to be on this part. So it's like if I wanted to later, I could still face those off and get rid of them. But for now, we're just going to get that clean face in the center to try to get our letters again. I'm just going to double check that we got our clean face. Looks good. Now we should be able to go back and run that engraving again. And here's where I'm going to come in and try to simulate this. I'm just going to hit start right now to get the tool change for me to do it without having to manually put in the tool change. And I'm still going to reset it before the tool runs just to come and visually verify where it's positioned before running it. And this is something actually I do the same process on our plasma table a lot for verifying where the essentially the tool is going to be to like, and if I'm able to get my full geometry into the material that I got. So right now, if you look at the simulation, the tool center is at like that point on the X. So it's about as far as the program's going to go is going to be like the bottom left corner. So if I'm looking at my machine, I'm kind of just going to go looking to verify that if my tool were going to come down right now, if it would be within that circle. So I'm going to go into step mode and just kind of come down slowly. And kind of go in there and visually look. And it looks kind of close. So I'm just going to try to go back to that conversational page here quick. So like my positional thing is like really good, but it looks like though the letters are still just going to be a little bit big to fit within that surface. So give me 1 second. I'm going to go back and edit it. So and we'll see after they run like the actual detail that we get on these letters if I'm going to be making them like this much smaller. But again, we're just going to be doing some testing right now. So got to change my Y offset. Got my Y offset there and everything was good. And then same thing, I'll still be able to go and verify this now. And if I keep everything in the same position where it's at right now, I should see how those letters actually moved in from where it's positioned. So yeah, where you could see before on the simulation, how the center of this was kind of right over that tip of that X now. Now you can see that that X kind of shrunk in and moved more in towards the center of that pocket face that we want. So now we should be good to go to actually test that and see the results. And I have some really fine engraving bits that I plan to actually use for like my friend's logos. That some engraving bits and some of the tools in this industry can be fairly expensive. So I'm trying to not put too much wear and tear on the bits for that custom job unless I need to. So even though this might not be the perfect tool, might not get perfect surface finishes, it still essentially simulates the exact process that I'd be doing later. And those actually turned out pretty good. Where again, we got some little lines in the outside from when we messed up and made it too big and it kind of went outside of that circle. But the two inside it showed up pretty nice and looked like they positioned right in the center there. So I don't know if it'll show up that well. Get the glare just right. So yeah, again, try to get a better camera in the future for showing some of this stuff. But now, I mean, it definitely looks exactly like the simulation. So, but yeah, that was kind of just showing how to position some of that stuff and everything like that. Kind of play with the engraving pages, show how you can make simple adjustments and kind of put it right into the location that you need. Some of my offset pages and how I was setting the offsets right here. So that we don't got an ETS set up in this machine right now, which is like kind of like the automatic tool setter for setting tool height offsets. I would normally clean it off better than what I'm doing right now for reference purposes, but I'm actually using this for my tool. And when I want to go set a new tool, say I want to go set up a new one right now, I'll kind of go reference going through that process. So I have 5 in here. I'm going to go store my current tool. And here for simulation purposes, I'm going to be setting up the same tool that we use to actually face the program. I'm just going to show it as setting up a different one and kind of going through that same process, setting to 0 and showing how we can use this new tool that we set up to go run that same program that we were just running at that same height and everything like that. So just going to kind of go that step-through-step process on it right now. So right now I just stored the tool. So on my ATC page, I got that stored. I'm going to just go move my tray right now. I'm going to say 6. And now I got my 6 in there. I'm going to actually 1 second here. I want to do this 6 insert. Okay. So now I just wanted to make sure that I set the pocket to be tool 6 as well. So that's why there's a star in it. It's because it's saying I have tool 6 in the spindle, which is what I'm about to put in the spindle. And it's just reserving that pocket for this tool. So now, even though my program was working in G58, how I have like my reference data like offset to the plate and how I'm touching off my tools, I'm putting it in G59 for doing that. So now I'm in G59 here. I'm on tool 6. That's what I want to be. I'm going to actually just go start jogging this around. Go in continuous mode. And this is essentially the same process for how I set the tool that I currently have in the machine. And I'll go show with the Heimer as well what I do with that to find it, because that's part of it as well. But this would be, if I'm setting up a new tool, this would be the process that I'm going about for doing that. And there's multiple different ways to do offsets and tool offsets and work offsets in CNC. I feel like a lot of times it's what works best for you, or it's also you got to just follow the rules based on the shop that you're at, because sometimes people have things built, even if it's not the most intuitive to use, certain places have them built for a reason that way. So I'm just actually zeroing that out there. And now I'm going, as I zero it out on the dial here, I'm coming over to my offset page. And then I'm going to, oh, my mouse started not moving there. So I'm going to go to my offset page. I'm going to do tool. I'm in tool 6. I want to do 0. And we're going to touch Z. So now we got that tool set for our 0, and that's at G59. So we're going to actually bring that up now, because we don't need that in that position anymore. I'm going to take this out. And now back over on our file page, we're going to edit this. Oh, we do want to go change one thing here. I want to go at least put in some information here. And again, it's actually the same as tool 2. So that's actually like what we're copying. Oh, forgot to hit enter. And 0.500 diameter. Okay, that's all good. Good there. So now we're going to go back to our file, edit conversational. We're going to edit this. We're going to change it to tool 6 and not change anything else other than that tool number. And anytime I'm making program changes and adjustments like that, I'm always going to be double verifying, because I could have definitely, even being an experienced person, I could have made a mistake on one of those pages. So as I'm going to run this program for the first time, I'm going to be watching that tool where it is, kind of verifying that everything's right and it's in the position that it should be in before I kind of go forward. So now I'm going to load this up, make sure, yep, we got tool 6. So I'm going to go put one in. I'm just locking a part into place right now. And now as I'm doing this, and again, I'm just going to be slowly running this as it gets kind of closer to the material. And I'm going to be referencing my Z height over here. And you could even slow down the feed rate if you wanted to, the velocity rate. If you kind of want the as you're proving something out for the first time, you can slow a lot of these down if you really wanted to. So now it's going to be moving a little bit slower. I'm going to, again, just pause it right before it comes right above the material. And right now, I'm kind of just visually checking by eye. It's telling me that this tool should be about 1/4 inch above the face of my material. And as I'm just kind of looking at it by eye, it looks right. So if I'm just doing that visual check, to me, I'm confident enough to be able to let this program go, because the rest of the variables involved with the program should be controlled. So that one didn't, I had to lower the Z a little bit on that one, because it just didn't clean it up all the way, probably because of my height offsets for it, but we can still even just go do that one. And if we wanted to keep that one differently than a different tool, we could do it both ways. But so I don't know exactly where that one is in relation to the engraver because of how we just touched it off. So Right now, I'm just going to I'll drop my whole offset right now for a little bit because I still want to see where that engraver is in relation to this tool without just making an adjustment on the tool itself right now. So we'll just go drop it down another 5. Just trying to get the letter that's out of there. Yeah, letter's all good now. So, and the main idea behind that was just showing of setting up a different tool and how fast it would be if I needed to reference it to the same part. Say I wanted to add a drill or a tapped hole and still have them reference to the height that we just did. I would have gone through that same process there. I was just trying to kind of use that same tool for a visual representation of kind of showing how to get that done. So we got use NXCam. I used the NXCam for a little while. I don't have a lot of experience with it. Just probably only like a month of playing around with it. I know we're getting kind of close to the end of our scheduled time for what we're going to be doing here. We're going to be trying to do these more often, kind of do them on Thursdays and everything like that. Maybe take customer ideas, kind of suggestions for what they want to see get done in the future, and maybe run some more customer oriented projects and everything like that. So hope to see you guys all tune in the future, kind of catch us next time we do something. We don't even have the exact like plan for the next one set up yet. So as soon as we do, probably get a post made about what we plan to do so that you can kind of look forward to that one a little bit more ahead of time. We were kind of short notice on getting this one out there, so didn't really kind of get any notifications put out to kind of give everyone, an idea that we're going to be doing them. But hopefully in the future, we'll give more people an idea when it's going to get posted and what it's going to be about before it goes live. So other than that, I think it was fun. It was our fun first time. We had some learning experiences on our end for getting it streamed, but hopefully that's all tackled and that'll go smoothly next time. And yeah, hope to see you guys all next time.